Hey, it's Gord, and you know that. This is, again, a patron only video, so please do not share it, because if people get it, they can see it. It's anybody who gets a link, so I only put the link in Patreon for all of you. Cheers. As you know, when I do patron only, you're getting the Hippie Unplugged. You're getting my real feelings, and sometimes you may take offense to those feelings, and I hope you don't, because that's what this is all about. This is about being able to express yourself freely. When people know that you mean zero offense, if they have taken offense, think of those words. They took offense. They took it. You didn't give it. So it's their fault, their problem. Now, this one, you've read the title, you cheated. I know I use that too often. Cultural appropriation. I have a friend in Instagram who had as part of her nickname Yogi because she practices yoga. Big deal. It's been her name for a long time. Today I noticed that she put her actual name there instead of Yogi. And so I mentioned it, and she told me that she gave it a lot of thought and figured somewhere some true yogi, some Hindu, is going to take offense to her using the term yogi. She said even doing yoga in North America, I'm paraphrasing, doing yoga in North America is basically cultural appropriation. It belongs to the Hindu. It should stay there. I sat for a while. I just sent her a peace sign, because sometimes if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. And this was one of those cases, because I thought, my goodness, first of all, you're just an Instagram person from Alberta that practices yoga. If it's even possible that somebody in the Middle East who is Hindu, who is a yogi, would happen to stumble across her internet account and say, hold it, you're not a yogi, I take offense, it is mind-boggling. But the fact that even if it could happen, and even if it could happen more than once, if someone takes offense of something like that, the response should be, so what? Since when does somebody's offense become something that I have to do anything about? If their skin isn't thick enough, then maybe they shouldn't be on the wide world web. And that brings me to cultural appropriation. I think it's sad that we are further and further dividing ourselves. The very people who say, stop being racist, are the ones who are saying that you can't borrow, use, whatever, somebody else's cultural identities. Now let's take a little step back. I'm having a hard time. The logic is up here, and I'm fog-brained today, so I'm having a bit of a hard time making it make sense. But I think you'll catch on, because I mean no offense, but when I was growing up, we played Cowboys and Indians. And nobody plays it anymore because it's offensive. It's cultural appropriation, dressing up as an Indian. But it isn't dressing up as a cowboy. Some woman got in horrible trouble in the U.S. because a picture was taken of her in a kimono for her graduation. Cultural appropriation. We as Earth, we as a people have survived and grown incredibly because of appropriating culture. We we started off in a very small amount of this world, and as we traveled more and more, we learned more and more about other people's cultures, and we found things that we liked, and we adopted them, and we used them, and we felt them, and sometimes we just celebrated them, like dressing up as in a kimono for Halloween, uh, wearing a sombrero on the Day of the Dead. Yes, there are a few people out there that will put blackface on and make fun of black people. But even when blackface used to be done, it was never a make fun of anything. It was have fun. Yes, maybe at somebody else's expense. And I do believe that we as a people should try very hard to not put offensive stuff out there, to not be offensive. But celebrating someone's culture is not appropriating their culture. It is celebration. And it's learning, and it brings us closer together. It should not tie us further apart. And I really mean this. The same people that say racism is horrible are the first to point out the white guy that's wrong. They're the first to point out you can't wear kimono because you're not Japanese. I'm sorry, but that is racist in itself. You want to stop racism, you stop talking about it. You start treating it like we are not different. And if someone else treats it as if we are different, you ignore that person because they're wrong. Sure, if you think you could teach them a little bit about their ignorance, fine, but let them wallow in their ignorance. As society has grown, I'm 57 years old. Back in the 60s, we were very culturally young and not very good at expressing ourselves in celebration of other cultures. So we made lots of mistakes with bad words, even candy named after black people, stuff like that. Was it wrong? Yeah, but it's wrong in today's standard. It wasn't wrong then, and no offense was meant then. It was kind of a celebration or just something odd, and we're showing it. I still say that if somebody is offended, it is on them. We are in charge of only ourselves. We cannot take offense and expect the person who offended us to take action on that. It's ridiculous, and it's not upon them because 100 other people didn't take offense. You took offense. You need to back off and think about how thick your skin is and why you're so bothered by something that other people are not. This whole new world we have, yeah, it's going to create, I don't know what it's going to create. You know, back when I was 10, early 70s, very early 70s, this whole thing was starting with political correctness, and it has morphed into a society of pointing fingers at, I'm better than you because I don't offend. Look at that word you just said. Rather than what I was raised as, sticks and stones break bones, names don't hurt, so let them go. Let them go. We need a society of thicker skinned people who accept it and ignore the stupidity, because it does go away. I hope I'm saying this well. I hope I'm delivering it well. I have never meant offense. In fact, that's why this video only goes to Patreon. I would love to have had a nice, calm conversation with this yogi and let her know that not only is it okay for her to use that term, but in fact it's wonderful for her to use that term, that it's a celebration. And if one or two people out there, even if it's hundreds of people, take offense, that's on them, not on her. But I knew that by beginning that discussion, I'm going to lose a friend. I've lost many people in YouTube when I started getting a little political and people started realizing, oh my goodness, he's kind of conservative. He doesn't believe in the things I believe in. And we're in a world where the conservative is the bad guy. And that's the logical guy that really, there isn't a difference in compassion between the conservative and the liberal thinker. There isn't. It's a difference in thought process and a difference in how to achieve the same outcome. Liberals want peace, and liberals want everybody to have a good life and equal opportunity. So we conservatives want the same thing, but we feel that it's better to give the tools to the people that need them and teach them how to use them, so that, you know, the old story, you give a person a fish, they eat for a day. You teach them how to fish, they eat forever. That's the conservative point of view, is give people the strength to uplift them. You can never uplift everybody, and you have to just accept that. It's sad, but ignore the sadness, because you can never solve everything. Where the liberal point of view is, let's find a way, let's take all the money and time and whatever from the people who have to give it to the people who have not. In other words, let's feed them all fish. Let's give them all fish. They want the same outcome. They want everybody fed. But they don't want to teach them how to fish, because how dare you take somebody who maybe doesn't want to learn? We're coddling a whole bunch of people, and society is becoming more of a nanny state than ever. Do I see the pendulum shifting? I do. I do think it's coming down. I do think that people are starting to realize that the right side is not always the right side, but it's the logical side. It's not an uncompassionate viewpoint. It's just a separate viewpoint. And maybe we can expand our horizons, people, and start teaching the people on the left that it's okay to be on the left, my friends. It's okay to be a liberal. It's okay to be compassionate and loving and kind. But realize that the people on the right have those same values, have those same mores and standards. We've been raised in a society where being nice to your fellow man is not a right or left thing. It's how you do it that's a right or left thing. And if you make a choice, it's not necessarily wrong. It's right for you. And if it isn't right for you, you'll change it later. The nanny state and cultural appropriation. It's ridiculous. We should be celebrating everybody's culture, melding into one, and realizing the only difference between all of us is how we think. The similarities is we all think. Peace and cheers, friends. Love and harmony. I hope you enjoyed this.